Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have some crazy news for you guys. If you don't follow me on social, you are behind. That's what you get because you didn't follow me on Instagram. So you would have known on Instagram, I made an announcement that me and my partner are pregnant. Oh my God. Yeah, so a lot of you guys are shocked. A lot of you guys are really happy. Guys, when I tell y'all, I was so nervous announcing this, and you'll see why. But, you know, we're going to get into details of how I found out that I was pregnant, how I got pregnant on birth control, taking the pill every day, how did that look, and how I kept getting negative pregnancy tests because my period just disappeared while I was on birth control. So we're just gonna get into all of that, but I would like to say thank you guys so much for the outpouring support. It warms my heart. I was so nervous to announce this because this was such a big shock to me, and it was mind-blowing because I was not planning to have another kid. I wanted to get married first, with me and my significant other, me and Brandon. We wanted to, we talked about marriage, we talked about we were planning to get married and all this other stuff, and this surprise just came about. And y'all, like, I did okay, where do I even begin? Let's just start off with just the beginning of it, okay? So I got pregnant on birth control. When me and Brandon got together, we were all like, just we waited. Everybody knows our story. It's on it's on this page. So after a while, I'm like, you know what? I want to be so precautious this time around in this relationship because I got pregnant in my last relationship years ago. I have a 5-year-old son, and I just always preached about just protecting yourself and, taking the precautions to, if you're not ready for a kid right now, like, so I was told by other people, like, oh my God, birth control is just not the healthiest thing to do for your body. And I understood that completely. I'm like, look, I understand that, but I'd rather take that risk right now and take the pill at least. I'm not getting an implantation because I don't believe in that, because there's just been so many people that have had problems with any implantations, or, it goes up or in your arm or anything. So I didn't want to do that route because that is just scary. My body rejects things that are like foreign. So I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to get that. I'm not going to get the shot because I just done my research, and I was on the pills before, in the past. So I'm like, the pills have never strayed me wrong. Yes, I get a little emotional on the pills. Yes, I feel a little weird sometimes on the pills, but it helps manage my period. And, because I was having like really heavy periods. So yeah, so I got on birth control last year, probably sometime around August or so, I don't know. So I've been taking my pregnancy pill every day, and probably like January I noticed that my cycle was really light and really short. I'm like, oh my God, like, why is no, actually in December, like the last like kind of semi-regular cycle that I had was in December. So I, mentioned it to my doctor, that, hey, like, I noticed that, she's like, oh, that can happen with the pill. Like, sometime when you're on birth control, your period just kind of disappears, because as I was taking it, my period was getting lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and shorter. So I was like, hey, I'm not complaining, like, whatever. So yeah, so probably around January, that's when it really was like, hey, like, my cycle is really kind of disappearing in a way. But I'm like, nope, like, whatever, like, it was just whatever. So then February comes, and I'm like, dang, like as like January's going on, I'm like, okay, like, I don't really have like a real period. Like, I haven't really had a real period. I had this like weird thing go on where I had like a cycle. It was like dark. Sorry if it's like graphic for you guys, but it was just like, it was like as if my cycle was it was like an old cycle. I don't know, it was so weird. But that only lasted for like it was like spotting. I was spotting off and on, off and on. And I was like, oh my God, like, what is this? Like, what is this? Why am I spotting? And so I told my doctor about it, and she's like, you know, like, let's give you a test. So we took a test like early February, and everything was negative. Everything was negative. And I was like, yeah, there's no way I could be. And she was like, she didn't believe I was pregnant. She was like, no, I don't think you are. Like, you know, everything's negative. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So February came the week before, or a few days before Valentine's Day. I was like, still haven't had a cycle. My boobs, one of the symptoms where my boobs were really, really sore. I was just like, man, like, why are my boobs so sore? Like, oh, like my nipples are so sore. And I was like, oh man, like, I don't know, this is weird. And I was having cramps, like slight cramps, like I was about to start my cycle. So I was like, maybe my cycle is about to start, but you know, these feel like my cycle is about to start, like, you know, but my boobs are sore. So I was talking to my friend, and she's like, girl, my nipples always get sore before my period. My nipples always get sore. So I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe it's the birth control that's kind of like changing up my hormones or whatever. So, yeah, so I took a test a few days before Valentine's Day, and it was negative. It was negative, and I was like, okay, cool. So we're all like having fun. And then the next week after Valentine's Day, like I had some weird symptoms going on where I just kind of wanted to be safe and get checked out. Basically signs of like a yeast infection. So I went to go get checked out. Because that is one of the symptoms of pregnancy, is like you can get UTIs or yeast infections or whatever. So I was just like, I run to my doctor, my OBGYN for everything. Like if something ain't right, if something just seems weird or too sensitive or whatever, I just go and get checked out because I just have that paranoia. So I went to OBGYN. Guys, I also was going back and forth to my OBGYN because oddly enough, before Valentine's Day weekend, I had got an ultrasound because I suffer from ovarian cysts, and I have a polyp in my uterus, which is, you know, what's concerning to me, because in the future, I'm like, wow, like, I've always kind of had this problem with cysts. They would rupture, and then now I'm developing this polyp, and they were checking to make sure that it wasn't cancerous, but they said that it didn't go away, that it's still like growing or whatever. And I'm like, oh man, like I was looking up on Google of like how, like, you know, some people who suffer from ovarian cysts, it can increase their chances of having a miscarriage, or the polyp can increase their chances of having a miscarriage. And I'm like, man, like I think it's gonna be hard for me to conceive. And I had just other uterus problems going on where I just felt like, honestly, like my son was like my last child. Not necessarily, but I thought it was gonna be hard for me to conceive, because I had so much going on. And so that's also another reason why I was in and out of my OBGYN, because I was getting tests ran for my ovarian cysts. They were tracking to make sure it wasn't getting bigger. Sometimes they would rupture and I would be in a lot of pain. And then I had this polyp, and I was supposed to get like a biopsy, or it's called something, where they go in through your uterus and they take a sample of the polyp and they test it to make sure that it's not cancerous. And so I was actually supposed to get that procedure done. So I went in to the doctors and I had that all scheduled, and I was supposed to go in the following week to get that procedure done. And as I was at my doctor, I was just like, you know what, I have not still had my period, and it is what was it, March, like February, March, yeah, like March, sometime in March. And at this point she's like, oh, that's weird, like, well, we know you're not pregnant. She's like, well, we know you're not pregnant. We're gonna do some hormone tests on you to see if, like, what's going on, and like, you know, what's going on with your period, and like why you're not getting it. You know, maybe we can switch you different options on birth control. So then I stopped taking, I finished my last pack in February, and you know, it's the beginning of March, and I was like, okay, well, she prescribed me some, as I was there, she was prescribing me like new birth control, and I was like, okay, cool. And all of a sudden, y'all, like, when I tell you God is so good, like, I was sitting there and they were getting all my paperwork and I was about to leave, and I just had something come over me, like a vision of me getting the procedure done and there's a baby in there. And I was like, oh God, that would be so horrible, because, you know, that can cause a miscarriage, that can cause problems and defects and everything else. So for some reason I was like, you know what, like, can I get a pregnancy test again just to make sure? Like, I haven't had a period in 3 months. I haven't had a period in 3 months. Can we get, like, can we do another test? And she was like, I mean, we know you're not pregnant, but okay, like, if you want to, you know, be on the safe side. And I was like, yeah, like, you know, I kind of felt like I looked ridiculous, but, you know. So I went and did the P test. And as soon as I, like, turned in the P test, the nurse took it. And as soon as I sat down, she immediately came from the back. Like, the door was wide open in the doctor's office. And she, like, immediately came back and started saying something to the doctor. And the doctor was like, and she looks at me and, like, zooms into the room. And she's like, sits down. And she's like, so, you're pregnant. And I was like, what? And she was like, well, that's why you haven't had a period, because you've been pregnant this whole time. And I'm like, but we took tests. And she was like, yeah, but, you know, maybe they weren't reading them, but you are definitely pregnant. So we're gonna go ahead and cancel the procedure, you know, because now we're gonna do a different route, you know. And I was just sitting there shocked, like, just got off the phone with my man, and I'm like, now I gotta call this man back and be like, babe, I'm pregnant. So, I called him and I was waiting to get my blood drawn so they can check my HCGs to see how far along I was. And I called him. I'm like, yeah, so they just told me that I'm pregnant. And he's like, oh, what? Like, sorry, y'all, there's like a Karen staring at me through my window. So weird. Anyway, so he was just like, oh, okay. Like, I thought it said negative, and how? Like, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Like, you know, he was like, okay, well, and I was like, yeah. He was like, where are you at? And I was like, well, I'm getting my blood drawn. And he was like, for what? And I'm like explaining everything to him. He's like so concerned. Like, he's like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? So I go and get my blood drawn, and then I'm like leaving out, and he like immediately like turns around, comes back to my place, and we're just kind of like, yeah, like, what is life right now? Like, I was like that. He was through the moon. He was happy. He was very happy. He was like, I mean, like, you know, like, okay, like, you know, are you sure? Like, you know, just, we had our talk, and, you know, from the beginning, we were two different emotions, okay? His was like thrilled, okay? Me, on the other hand, I was shocked. I was shocked. I was so shocked. And I was so nervous to telling my family, because, you know, guys, I'm gonna be real honest, like, before I even get into that, I went to the store later on that day after I got off of work, and I went and got a pregnancy test, because the ones that I were taking at home were coming up negative. So I was like, let me just check and see. So as I'm like buying the pregnancy test at like a Walgreens or whatever, she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I already know that I'm pregnant. They said I was pregnant, but I just want to double check. And she's like, oh, okay. So this is the first test that I took at home. This is how light the line was when I took my test. And I was nearly 3 months pregnant. So that just tells you right there, I don't know, this pregnancy was just such a shock. I was nearly 3 months when I found out. Y'all, I was in complete shock. I had to deal with my own emotions because, you know, there was a slight, I was too worried about what other people thought. I was so worried about other people judging me, for not being married and making sure I got the ring first. But honestly, like, I did everything that I was supposed to do. I'm in a committed relationship with this person. This is a person that I want to marry. And God opened my womb up regardless if I was taking birth control methods you know. So for me, it was a lot of adjusting because I was so scared of like people judging me and looking down on me and the stigma between like moms. And I honestly just had postpartum, not postpartum, I'm sorry, PTSD from my first pregnancy. Honestly, everything that I went through with my first pregnancy, I had PTSD because I'm like, oh my God, what if this happens with this relationship? I don't have my ring yet. He's, you know, and married couples, I've spoken to many married couples, and when they have their kids, men and women say like, we damn near wanted to separate while pregnant, but we were married, so we were in this thing and we had to stick it out and toughen it out. But you know, part of the mom groups people still end up separating, and so I knew that that was also something that was a risk factor, and I bawled crying just thinking of the fact that, wow, like, I remember how it was with my first son. I was in a committed relationship, and the relationship just went downhill, and I saw a side of him, and I know how pregnancy can change men, and I saw a side of my first, you know, a side of him I never saw, and or maybe never recognized, and I had post-traumatic stress from it, like, you know, because I was so scared that it was going to happen again. That was like my, like, literally trauma that was like digging back out. Whew, just even talking about it, it's just like, oh my God, like, you know, I'm still like nervous now because I went through so much. I was so depressed during my pregnancy with my first son, and I just, you know, once I finally came to the realization that I am damn near 30. I'm turning 30 this year, 30 years old this year, guys. Like, I'm a grown woman, and once I realized that I am a grown ass woman, and I have to make a grown ass decision. I'm way too old to be thinking that I'm 16, 18, 20, 21 years old, not knowing what I want to do in life. Like, I have a thriving career. I'm in a relationship, in a committed relationship. Like, what reasons would I not want to keep my child? And like, you know, I don't judge people for not doing it, but I'm 30, guys. Like, I'm not a child, I'm not a kid, like, I'm not this young girl. I'm in my career, well into my career. I'm responsible, I have the finances, and so I'm like, why God would never open my womb up the way he did and hid that baby for nearly 3 months, hid that baby from me for nearly 3 months until it was time for me to know. And I said, you know what? I am not going to play God. And I just prayed and prayed and prayed. There's still a lot of fears that come with it because, you know, there's just a lot of fears that come with it. And I knew that there was going to be a roller coaster. I want to dive more into my pregnancy and like more into my biggest fears with pregnancy in another video. I don't want to talk about it too much on YouTube. I am going to start a Patreon account. So all the mommies out there that are pregnant with me, mommy to bees that are going through relationship issues or fears or whatever, I'm going to create a Patreon for us, so we can connect on a deeper level, and I can share more personal things throughout my journey that I don't feel comfortable putting out on a public platform for other people who don't care for me, don't like me, and just want to come on here and judge me. I don't want to give them that content. I want a safe place. So yeah, you're going to have to pay, but it's not going to be no more than like $12 or $10 a month. So I'm going to start a Patreon account that is dedicated for us mommies to be who are pregnant. I have a lot of you guys who are pregnant who have reached out to me and said they're going through things, and I completely understand what they're talking about because I went through it with my first pregnancy, and just everything what I'm experiencing and how different it is now compared to then, and like, you know, so I'm going to go ahead and create a Patreon account, and I'm just going to check my community tab because I am going to post it on my community tab, and whenever I get it up, I am going to post it in the section below. So if you end up running across the video, just check, and if it's not, just check in the comment section because I'm going to pin it as well. And also just make sure you subscribe to this channel because I will be posting it in the community tab. But yes, it's just a lot of emotions, but You know what, guys, I can say that, and I will share this publicly, is that when I finally, you know, people started to recognize that I was pregnant, I've had so many professional career women, successful women come up to me who are in their 40s, and they come up to me, or late 30s, and they go, I am so happy for you. You should be really happy because I always wanted a baby. I just never found the right person to have it with. And I feel like it's too late. It was too late for me, but you know, children are a blessing, and just remember that. And I'm like, I damn near was almost in tears, like, thank you for reminding me, because sometimes when you're so deep in it and you are in your own selfish thoughts of being scared of being judged by the world and what the world would think of you and judge you, and y'all, like, I literally want to cry of the support that I have gotten today. Like, yes, I've had like 20 something people or more unfollow me on Instagram, and that's okay, bye, because I know that I'm gonna have 20 something 200 people follow me, because they're gonna be inspired by my story, and they're going through what I'm going through, and they understand that we are human and we are perfectly imperfect, and that fertility is nothing to play with in my eyes. I've had too many friends who dealt with fertility issues and still dealing with fertility issues where they may never have a child. And there's so many women in my life that I know that are either struggling, or, you know, they passed up that opportunity to have a baby. Everybody don't have that energy or time to be 40, 50 years old taking care of a newborn. And I can tell you now, I'm 29, and me being pregnant at 24, 25 is so different than being 29 and 30 being pregnant with this child. I can tell you that my body is just so much more like, and I'm gonna make videos about that, like how my pregnancy is going, how it's affecting my body, what are my symptoms, and you can just follow me on that too, because I know a lot of my mommy to be's are on here, and I'm gonna be bringing you on my journey to this pregnancy, and I'm gonna embrace it. And I promised myself that I was going to embrace this pregnancy, because my first pregnancy, I hid in the house. I barely showed my bump. I barely took pictures. I barely dressed up. I barely did anything for myself because I was so depressed. And I promised myself that I was not going to do that this time around. And I owe it to myself to take maternity photos and be beautiful and feel beautiful and dress beautiful and be a hot mom and be cute and feel flourished and feel feminine and feel great about myself regardless. And F the world, and F who have anybody has to say anything about this, because at the end of the day, people take advantage of the opportunity of being a barren woman, or take the opportunity of being a woman who can carry a child, because a lot of us and a lot of people that's watching this don't know if they're going to have children. So please don't come on here and judge, because you never know what God is going to teach you in your lesson. You can sit here and judge me, or you can sit here and judge other women, because you don't know their circumstances, because they don't have a ring, but you may not have a ring either, and you don't know if you're gonna ever get that, and you don't know if you can ever carry a child when you do get that ring. So just be mindful before you comment something negative, and same for guys as well, because they also can be infertile as well. So yeah, like my child, I'm a great mom. I can give myself a pat on the back for that. My child is loved. I picked out a great father for him. We just didn't work out, because we were just not good for each other. But as in fatherhood, he is a great dad. And I'll just further make videos about being a parent and my pregnancy and how that goes. But I'm gonna make more videos because I don't want this to get too long. But yes, I was pregnant off the pill. Got pregnant off the pill. I didn't find out until I was almost 3 months. Complete shocked. We are more happy to the moon, and I'm gonna show you guys at the end of this video that what I'm having. If you haven't already, there's a video of us and some photos and everything, so I'll share that at the end of this video. But I don't want to make it too long because I see it's already getting a little long already. But a lot of you guys noticed, because just saw my face is much fuller, and I'm gonna show you my baby bump. So this is my baby bump belly. That's my baby. On the side, yes. Oh, that is my baby bump, and I am 26 weeks on the dot today. So, okay, this video will be going up. And Thank you guys for supporting me, and I really hope that y'all rock with me, and I will bring you on to this journey, and I will be sharing more things. If you have any things that you want me to talk about with this pregnancy or have any questions, go ahead and comment that below so we can get a conversation started. I will definitely be in the comment section answering all you guys' questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead. And if you haven't followed me on social media, make sure you follow me at Brittany Nashay on Instagram and TikTok, because I will be posting there. And you can see updates from my bump and whatever that I do. I'm active on Instagram. I'm going to be more active on Instagram now that the world knows that I am having baby number 2. And thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned at the end where I show you my gender reveal, where me and my family found out what we are having. All right, guys, stay tuned for more videos. Okay, bye. Thanks.
On the count of 3. Come on, talk to you. 1, 2, 3. Girl too.
Okay, outfit. I like that. Ooh, shit. Ooh, bitch, pop it. Pop it. Pop it, pop it, pop it. Pop it till he wanna come over the house and bop it. Pop it, don't stop it, bitch. Don't you dare drop it. Ooh, pop it, pop it.